Now, you may not have noticed, thanks to the magic of television, but I am not 35 anymore. Those days and the body that I had back then, well, they are way, way behind me. And, it's okay. I've made peace with it. It took a lot of therapy, but I've made peace with it. Most days. All right, I have to admit, though, that it would be nice if things didn't change, right? Like, wouldn't it be great if we picked a point in our life and we could just stay there for the rest of our lives? And for me, it was, for some reason, 35 was the perfect year. Now, I could stay comfortable in the past and I could really enjoy the past, but that's not how the world works. That's not how things work. But here's the kicker, though. I never think about my age. I'm never aware of my age until I look in the mirror. And then it slaps me across the face like a housewife on one of those stupid reality shows that everybody's into. Now, I have an idea in my head of the image that I present, and in my mind, that's 35-year-old me. I got a full head of hair, it's dark, I don't have any body fat, I look great, but that's not the reality. That's not what I see. That's not what others see, that's what I see. And that's the problem. The image in my head isn't what people are seeing. And that's also true for our businesses. There are a lot of times where we get wrapped up in what we think our business is, what we think our business is being seen as, but it's not always necessarily accurate. There are times that it's inaccurate and we need to make some corrections because it's not realistic. All right, let's get into it in some more detail on the other side, and I will see you there. Welcome back to the conversation. I'm E.H. Howard, your swanky host, and I'm a self-employed small business owner. Here we discuss the issues and the challenges that all of us as a small, self-employed home or small business face. Our challenges are different from others, and we have to really deal with things in a different way. We need interesting solutions to common problems. All right, now all this week and all of the content that I've been producing, we're talking about making sure that the image that we present is lining up with reality. Is what we think we're saying, what we think we're showing, is that exactly what people are hearing and seeing? Because it might not be. And that might be some of the challenges that we have in dealing with consumers. We're thinking one thing and what they're doing and what they're seeing is completely different. And it's sometimes causing some issues between us and our consumers. Because it's possible we might be a little bit wrong on something. We might not be as accurate in person as we are in our head. Now, if you're like me, and if you're a self-employed smaller home business owner, you probably are exactly like me. Somewhere in your mid to late 40s, probably in your 50s, and you are a certain person of a certain age, right? We all have to deal with this. And you know that feeling of suddenly being aware of your age, all right? Now, depending on how strong your self-image is, how self-aware you are, it can be quite a shock when you're confronted with reality. And I'm usually aware of it when I'm around other younger people. If I'm around my nephews or if I'm around people that are younger than me, I suddenly become aware of my age. Or when I look in the mirror, that I realize, there's a lot of white and gray here. I don't know where that came from. So it can be shocking to us. And it's the same thing with our businesses. It can be a real shock to us to realize that our image and what we're presenting is not exactly what people are seeing. Now, we have an image in our head of our business, what we present to the consumer and what we do and how that connects to the world around us. And that image has a lot of accuracy in it, but it may not be 100% accurate. There may be some problems with that image that we need to address, that we need to focus on, all right? Now, if you're like me, and you probably are if you're watching this video, you have been doing this hustle for a very long time. Now, I've been building my business for over 25 years now, and it's been adapting and changing as the market and the economy kind of forced me to change. But my core, I still feel that I am back to the same principles that I had when I was day one, focused on small businesses, helping them be the best that they can be, giving them access to things that they think they can't afford or have access to. Now, I'd be foolish to think that everything is equal and the same as when I started back in 19-something. The world has changed dramatically since the year 2000. I mean, dramatically. I can't imagine. I think back on it all the time, and I keep saying, I've seen some shit. Now, in order to survive, all of us have had to adapt. So that's what I was saying is, while my business has adapted and changed and reacted to the market and the economy, at the core, it is still the same in my mind. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what people are seeing. I understand, though, I need to evolve. I need to change, or I'm going to die in the water. Any business that doesn't change, doesn't maintain a sort of looking at the market and adjusting to it, you're dead in the water. And I'm not saying that's the cause of all businesses going out of business, but it is probably a huge portion of the reason people go out of business, because they don't adjust, they don't change. They're like, this is what I do, this is how I'm doing it, and I've been doing it this way for 20 years, I'm not changing. And that's fine, that's okay to have that, but we need to look at our businesses not through our eyes, but through the eyes of the consumer. What does the consumer see? What does the consumer hear when we're talking, when we're presenting things to them? Are they seeing exactly what we want them to see, the accurate image that is in our head? Now, human beings are going to be, well, human beings, right? Like, we are not perfect. We will never be perfect. It will always be just out of reach for us, perfection. For us, our businesses, everything. We are not AI, we are not machines. Well, even AI isn't perfect. And the computers keep crashing, so we're just going to take the fact that they're perfect off the table. But you know what I mean. Perfection is unattainable. No one will ever be perfect. There is always going to be light between who we think we are and who we really are, the image that we are presenting to people. Now, the through line in everything that we're talking about this week, today, everything is understanding self-awareness. And that seems to be a huge problem for a lot of Americans right now. We are not very self-aware. We are not aware of how our behavior is, how we're acting, how the things that we are saying and doing impact on other people. And it's the same thing in our businesses. We need to be aware of the image that we present. And if we are not presenting ourselves accurately and realistically, that's okay. But we got to understand that customers are going to react to what they see, what they think. Now, I need to be aware of what that is, because I'm aware that I am not 35 anymore. In my head, I get it. I would love to be that way. I would love to think that I still am, but that's not reality. That is not me being self-aware. That is me. I don't know. I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to think of what the word is fibbing to myself, I guess, for lack of a better word. Now, that doesn't mean I can't still bring the energy, I can't bring the drive, I still can't bring it all. Everything I had back then is still on the table, and I can still remain true to who I am and what the business was intended to do. I just need to go about it in a different way. I need to adjust to the market and to the consumer. I need to look to the consumer to touch base and make sure that what I'm saying and doing is what they want to hear from me. Because if I'm not talking to the consumers, if I'm not listening to what they're having to say, then there's no point in me being business, because if I'm not addressing their needs and their help or giving them help, then I'm not helping them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just in it for me, all right? And that's not what business is about. Business is about, I started my business to help other people. And if I can't help the other people, then I don't have a business. And does that kind of make sense? It's a long, convoluted explanation, all right? One of the things that they don't teach you in new business school is that you need to constantly be assessing your business and adjusting to the times, all right? The world is ever changing. It is constantly changing, and it is changing at a pace that none of us can keep up with, all right? So we are not going to fight City Hall. We are going to kind of find our way around City Hall that gets us what we need and gets us where we need to go, without making too much stress and pressure on us, because we can't keep up on everything, all right? You cannot keep up on every new social media trend. You cannot keep up on every new marketing idea. You cannot keep up on everything. So you need to pick and choose your battles, and you need to pick and choose the battles that you're going to win, all right? Now, this has always been this way for small, self-employed home businesses. We have always had to deal with the fluxes. And for us, it's like a little dinghy on a huge stormy ocean, because we have just us and everything storming around us. And now those challenges are causing us problems. They're causing us problems in finding and converting and retaining ideal consumers. And that's what we need to do. That is the goal in business, is to find and convert new consumers who will like and want to purchase our products. Now, what the consumers need and how we engage with them, that is constantly in flux. Constantly. It will change between the time I make this video and the time that you see this. Things have probably changed again. Now, I'm not saying you have to change with everything. You have to pick and choose your battles. You need to assess when it's appropriate and course correct, all right? But you need to do it without sacrificing who you are at your core. And that's not a very easy thing to pull off, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Now, we all have an idea, again, as I've said multiple times, who we are in our head as our business. We have a set of core beliefs. We are dealing with an ever-changing world and consumers who are ever-changing and putting all kinds of pressures on us. Now, we need to marry all of that together in some sort of crazy shotgun wedding that gets us what we need to go. Now, in order to keep it real, we do need to do some work. We can't just say, okay, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do that, I'm going to deal with this, or I'm not going to deal with this. We need to, part of our job as a business owner is to constantly be building a better business. That means we need to do some work. We need to set the table so that the consumers can just come in and sit down and go, all right? We cannot expect things to change naturally. You cannot bury your head in the sand and say, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to keep going and doing what I've been doing, because if that worked, that would be awesome, but it's not working, is it? Because you're kind of struggling. You got some problems. We need to deal with those. Now, let's be honest. We cannot expect nature to take its course. We need to be proactive. We need to be less reactive. We need to take the wheel. All right, so let's bring it all home. Nothing here is going to change overnight, but the thing about change is it can be self-perpetuating, all right? Once we get the ball rolling, it's easy to keep it rolling. All week in all of the content, we are going to be talking about how to do just that. We're going to keep the ball rolling. We're going to get it started, and we are not going to let it stop. And much like a snowball, which you're rolling down a hill, as we keep rolling it, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to take care of some of the things that we needed to take care of. But we need to give it a start. We need to give it a roll. We need to get it going. All right? So, this has been The Conversation with E.H. Howard, and I am E.H. Howard. I would love for you to leave some comments below. Let's get a conversation going. Let's get a start. I mean, that's the name of the show, so I'd like to get a conversation and dialogue going. An exchange of ideas would be awesome, because I'm sure all of you are struggling with this, and I would love to know what you're doing, how you're addressing it, how you're dealing with it, because we've all been in this situation. And as I've mentioned a few times, this is a part of a full week of content. So if you need to get any of the other content, it's all in the hub, which is located at hub.ehhoward.com. I also want to thank you for spending some time with me. I know how busy you are and how important your time is in your day, and I appreciate you taking some time out to spend with me. And I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.